welcome to Harrison Hacks.
Hey guys, welcome back to Harrison Hacks. This is update number 2 on my massive build vintage collection. Basically, I've completed 6 systems and I'm working on PlayStation 1, but I'll show you what I've got going on and then we can discuss it as we go. So as usual, be prepared for it to be choppy because I'm going to mute because my laptop ain't the greatest. We all know that. So basically, you can see this is a different theme, and I don't think I'm going to stick with this theme, but I did find it. It just kind of shows the system and then fades out to the video. It looks a lot nicer when I'm not recording because it'll actually play properly. But I'll show you what I've done and where I'm going with this. GameCube, I mean, this is a system that the games are pretty big, so I've got to find the ROM set for this, and then I can move on to that. Same thing with Wii, massive. Wii U, of course, is huge. So Sega Master System is something that I've completed since the last time I gave you guys an update on this build. So 264 games, you can see everything's got box art and cart art, as well as wheel and snap. All English wheels and snaps. All English all English wheels as well. I don't know why I said snaps, they're videos. So that's Sega Master System. Sega Genesis is another one that I also did. 740 games, but again, box art, cart art, and all English wheels. Just trying to give you guys as much artwork as I can included with the packs. 32X was a small system. It did not take much time at all, but again, you can see nice box art and nice cart art. So that's 32X. Looks good. Then Sega CD, fairly large. I did have to create some of the box art, but I did find all the artwork for cart art and, well, the discs, as well as, and you'll see here, like with something like Supreme Warrior, disc 1 and disc 2, and then you'll see it again, Supreme Warrior 32X, and that's disc 1 and disc 2. So I included all of the 32X variants that I had. I did that so, if you're a stickler and you want both versions, you've got them. If you remove them, if you delete the ROMs, if you want, then they won't appear. I have it set so that once the ROMs are removed from the folder, they won't appear in your list. So I just wanted to do that for anyone who's going to cut this down to size, but I am including it as many games as possible for people who want as many games as possible. Myself, I usually just pick what I really like, and I also go through and try different games. That's why I like to have as many as possible, so I can try like different games that I've never experienced and be like, oh, I'm going to keep that, Or you might go through and be like, oh, wow, what's that? So this virtual VCR was hard to find the artwork, but I got that. There's a few of them, but it's all there. Box, disc, snap, and wheel. So the Sony PlayStation, okay, basically what happened with Sony PlayStation, these are just European games. I'm not going to be including them. I do have the US ROM set. I downloaded it in PBP format. Well, I don't like the way that RetroArch emulates the PlayStation in comparison to EPSXE, so I wanted to use EPSXE as the main PlayStation emulator. Well, it doesn't boot my PBP files. It just stays black screen, won't boot them. So I was like, okay. So I went and found another ROM set, North American ROM set for the PlayStation 1, and it was Q with multiple bin files for most games. EPSXE didn't like that either. It would say can't load, blah blah blah. It would give me an error screen. So then I figured, okay, I'm going to take all the Q and multiple bin file games and change them into one Q and one bin file. Well, that is a time-consuming process, especially when you're talking about, I think I've got, I want to say 1,400 PlayStation games or something like that. It's over 1,000 for sure. So I've gone through. I'm about a third of the way through of changing over all the ones that are multiple bin files into just single queue, single bin files, and it's just a time-consuming process. I've spent more time on PlayStation than I have on any other system. That being said, since I've been, I reviewed J Arcade's Game Boy Classic Edition build, and he did such a phenomenal job, and he's continually doing them. He's got a Virtual Boy, he's doing a Game Boy Advance. I mean, he's just doing all the handheld systems, and he's doing a great, excellent job. And I'll speak a little more on J Arcades at the end of this video. A little snippet of information for you guys on what me and him have somewhat discussed. But for right now, I said after my Arcade Classic Edition that was probably my last Classic Edition build. But now that I've got the PlayStation ROM set and I realize how many great games there are for the PlayStation, I am going to be releasing in the near future a PlayStation Classic Edition build for the PC, and it's going to be a 32-bit build. So it should run fine on older systems, newer systems, everything. Again, it'll be based off EPSXE as the main emulator, but it'll also have RetroArch as well for anyone who prefers RetroArch. So just a little bit of information on PlayStation. It's been kicking my butt, but I figured it out, and now the multiple bin games that go to single bin games are running beautifully, and everything runs smooth. So that will be completed. That is the one I'm working on at the moment. It's actually the system I'm looking at finishing. PlayStation 2 is another one. It's going to be a later pack release, just because it's so massive. When I work on these massive builds, it takes time to get them and make sure that they work and so on and so forth. So but stay tuned. I mean, I'm always going to be releasing packs. The main build will be soon. PlayStation 3. I mean, this is a work in progress. You know, the RPCS3 emulator is not perfected by any means, but they're making leaps and bounds. They're doing a phenomenal job. So I do want to include this as a pack in the future because, I mean, PlayStation 3's got some really great games. So that's another huge one. You guys know TurboGrafx was already done, Virtual Boy was done, Game Boy was done, Game Boy Color was not. So we'll go into this real quick. Box art, cart art, 534 games. I tried to do as many as I could. And the other thing, as I do with all of the systems, is if there's a year on something, so like you'll see All-Star Baseball 2000, 2001, anything like that, or if there's like an Army Men and then an Army Men 2, so on and so forth, anything like that, I try to put them in order as best I can. You know, I try to go through the ROM lists and find anything that's out of order. What really bugs me most of the time is the Mortal Kombats, because Mortal Kombat 2 is almost always not where it belongs. It's after 3 instead of between 1 and 3. So little things like that, you know. I guess it's like OCD stuff, but I like it to look neat. I like to scroll through and go Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, you know. But that's Game Boy Color, 534. Game Boy Advance I have done already. DS, so this is a ROM set that I have access to now, so I've just got to download it and get all the, I have to rename every DS game, unfortunately, with the ROM set that I have access to. But I do have a lot of artwork, so it's going to take some time to rename all the ROMs. But once I do, that set will be available. The 3DS is going to take some time. This is another one, you know, work in progress. But again, just like PS3, the RPCS3, Citra is making leaps and bounds. They're doing an amazing job. And I get nightly updates on the build. I have updates turned on, as you guys may have noticed in the previous video. Game Gear. So this is one that was not complete. Now it is. Excuse me. So with Game Gear, you're looking at $279, and again, box art, cart art. I mean, it's all there. I like to give as much art as possible. So with these packs, I'm gonna give. I can't please everyone. There may be a game that was like English translated that I didn't incorporate into the pack, or you know, there's so many different games or variants of games that I do as best I can, and I really do take the time, guys, I try to put as many as possible. You know, for me, so PSP is going to take a bit. I don't have an access to the ROM set yet, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But I do want to, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, some upcoming things, so we'll get into that now. I'll just go into PlayStation and let it ride. So basically, what I'm working on right now is obviously the Vintage Collection Massive Build. Trying to include as many games as I can for you guys, as much artwork as I can for you guys. In the packs, there will be a main base, and then all of the packs will be individual. You can take the systems you want, and you don't have to download terabytes and terabytes. You're not forced to do that. When you get into the larger systems, yeah, you are. I mean, PlayStation's pushing 600 gigs to get that. You know, when I zip it up, it's probably not going to be much smaller, but I mean, it is what it is. Dreamcast is going to be another big one, so I'm working on that. After PlayStation will be Dreamcast. I've got the Dreamcast North American ROM set, as far as I know, guys. I don't call them complete ROM sets because I don't want anyone putting comments saying you forgot this one or blah blah blah. So, and then also Sega Saturn will be after that, and then I'll dive back into the DS, and then the 3DS, and the PlayStation 3, and the PlayStation 2, and the Wii, and the Wii U, and there's a lot. There's a lot to go, but there's a lot completed. And I know that since my last update, I've only done about 6 systems, but believe me, it's taken quite a bit of time to do everything. And now PlayStation is really eating a lot of time, having to not only make sure the artwork matches up, but I have to go ahead and rebuild each and every game so that it's single queue, single bin. But I enjoy doing this kind of stuff. I do. It's very time consuming. I mean, you know, I got a 9-to-5 job. I got a family. I also commute, so I'm like 2.5 hours on the road each and every day, an hour and 15 each way to and from work. So I try to get this done as much as I can for you guys, and I hope you understand why I can't, you know, I wish I could release things on a daily basis. I really do. And I get a lot of like emails and private messages, you know, could you send me a copy early? And it's like, look, if it was ready, I'd release it that minute. Not to one person though, all to the public. You know, I don't think that I'm going to be stopping anytime soon. I've got so many ideas. I mean, I've got another laptop over on my right now. So this is my crappy laptop that doesn't work very well. I got an old school one, man. That's sitting with an Intel Celeron M processor designed for Windows XP. And that thing, I keep a list of everything that I want to work on and what's completed and what's not, and it's nice to have there. It's kind of like a little notepad without wasting paper. I don't want to get in, you know, into too much, how do I explain this? I don't want to get into too much at once. So Vintage Collection right now is my number one. But doing the PlayStation Classic Edition, I'm doing the games anyways for the Vintage Collection. So I thought, why not do a PSX Classic Edition? And that leads me back to J Arcades. So we briefly talked through patron messaging about, which I really appreciate the support to all my patrons. Thank you, J Arcades. Everybody should make sure you check out his YouTube channel. He's does phenomenal work, man. I don't even need to do a Game Boy Classic Edition. He did a phenomenal job. Virtual Boy, Game Boy Advance. I mean, he's got a wrestling build. I've only seen a preview of it. I don't have it, but I can't wait to try it. But that's J Arcades. And what we were talking about was taking all of our Classic Edition builds and combining them into one huge build. And that would be pretty sweet. Because for me, I don't need all of these ROM sets. I'm releasing them in massive packs so that you guys have the ROM sets, but I'm the type of guy, I'll try games I don't know, I'll add them to the ones that I like, and then I'll narrow it down and get rid of the rest. So basically, I mean, once I do these packs and I upload them and they're online, they're probably not going to sit on my hard drive. They're probably going to get mostly deleted, and I'm just going to keep my personal collection. That's why I upload them online so that they're available for everybody to enjoy. Now, some people like, oh, I want a full ROM set, and some people are like, I only like 10 games from that system, or 60 games from that system, or stuff like that. There's some people that are happy with their NES Classic the way that it came. Some people are like, wow, no way, 30 games? No, I gotta add like another 100 or 700 or whatever. So it's all personal preference. It's not good or bad. It's totally up to you. But the reason for Vintage Collection is so that you could have a vintage collection. Whichever, even though some systems aren't vintage, you can have whichever games you want easily accessible in one build. I know people do it for the Raspberry Pi, but because I'm stepping into some newer systems that the Pi doesn't run, with the N64 and PlayStation 2 and GameCube, and the list goes on for all the newer consoles. So I don't mean to ramble at the end of the video, guys. I just want to give a little bit of an update of what I'm going to be working on in the future, and once I release this, I'll start doing the packs and get them uploaded and keep continually working on the packs that are not complete, as well as my PlayStation Classic Edition. I had a patron request. He wanted the Sammy Atomis Wave add-on for Hyper Arcade. I want to get that done as well, so that's something that I will be doing. I mean, when I get a patron request, I do my best, man, to get that stuff out for you guys. And even YouTube comments too. I mean, I do what I do, but honestly, to get to all the YouTube comments at this point, I just don't have the time. I try to set aside the time, but man, it's hard. So it's just a little bit of an update, guys. I feel like I've been rambling on too long, so I'm going to cut it here. I really appreciate you guys watching as usual. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I would love, my birthday's in mid-March, and I would love to be at 2,000 subscribers. I'm just over 1,750 right now. I think we can make it happen. So, again, guys, you know it, as usual. Make sure you have a good day.